The Sisters of Dorley by Alyson Greaves. Read by Robin Nolan. Chapter 5. A Machine Made of Meat. 2019, October 14th. Monday. Stefan's not surprised to see the other cells, identical to his, lined up on his left as he walks slowly down the concrete corridor towards the double doors at the end. Each glass has the same wall, the same cot, the same thin mattress like the world's least expensive capsule hotel. He counts 10 and an 11th room of a different sort. An interrogation room? No. He cranes his neck by the dirty window, set into the door, and sees nothing but shelving units and dust. 10 cells then. What kind of place is this that it has 10 copy-pasted concrete boxes in which to throw people? What horror show has he stumbled into? Stand aside, the blonde woman commands. Face the wall. He complies, still playing the obedient but bewildered boy. Not much acting required. He flinches a little at the loud buzz of locks triggering, and then he's ordered through the doors that have now swung open. On his way past, turn right, be quick. He gets a look at the mechanism, what looks like a fingerprint reader attached to a lock the size and shape of a brick. There's another one just like it on every corridor he finds himself in. He glances left, another on the double doors on the top of the stairs up. He hopes Christine can open them all, and is genuine in her insistence that she can get him out, because it's clear that he's not going anywhere without her help. And he's willing to bet that with all this concrete you can scream and shout all you want without being heard from the outside. Chilling. Christine said she was still in the program here. Does that mean she's walked the same walk? Did she wake up in a similar cell? Is there another basement, a mirror of this one, for bad girls? What did she do to end up there? The boys, the other boys, whatever, are all here for violence or social violence, she said. Try not to let your imagination run too wild, Steph, he tells himself, as the blonde woman opens up another set of doors, leading into what looks like a common area. Before he can go through, though, one of the other women taps him on the shoulder, motions for him to stay. Stephen Riley, the blonde woman says. He's too distracted to even notice she's full naming him again. You're not going to cause me any problems, are you? Stephen says, watching heads turn inside the room as the men realize someone new has come to join them. Oh, no, I promise. She rolls her eyes. You're remarkably docile, remarkably quickly. Thanks, I try. She gestures at him with a taser, and he regrets being flippant. Don't be clever, she says. Sorry. In you go then. Have fun with the other boys. He nods, puzzling on the emphasis on the word boys, and walks carefully through the double doors into a common area that reminds him of prisons he's seen on TV, with a handful of metal tables, some large metal cupboards with red lights that suggest they're connected remotely, and a TV up on the far wall. There's also a handful of sofas scattered about the place, which don't seem like they fit the prison aesthetic, and most of the men in the room are lounging on the ones nearest the TV. A half-dozen women, all armed with tasers and batons, and a couple of them with what might be guns or perhaps heavier-duty tasers, are sitting on or standing around another cluster of sofas nearer the door. Most of them are looking at Stefan, waiting to see what he does. Would you look at that, one of the men says, and waves. Someone new. His cheerful mood seems out of place. None of this is what Stefan had expected. The one who spoke up gets up from the sofa and approaches him, hands in the pockets of his hoodie. He slows as he gets closer, probably trying to work out what kind of person Stefan is. So, the man says, stretching out the vowel, when did you get here? Yesterday, Stefan says, frowning. Or possibly the night before? I'm sorry, what's going on? Who are you? Oh, we're just a ragtag family of naughty kittens, here to be neutered, clipped, tagged, and released back into the wild. What? It's woke jail, says another one of the men. What thought crimes did you commit? It's not woke jail, Will, another one says. He keeps calling it that, he adds, addressing Stefan directly. It's a ridiculous concept, I keep telling him. Tell him what you think it is, Will says, smirking. Go on, shut up, Will. He thinks these girls are part of a secret underground ring working for the shadow government. They kidnap men and drain us of our... Sorry, what did you say it was called? I was wrong, I'll admit it. I've refined my theory, but I'm never sharing it with you again. The two men bicker between themselves in low voices. What's happening? Stefan says to the man standing still with them. Ignore them. They're a double active we're all fucking bored of, he briefly yells and then turns back to Stefan. But it's okay, because neither of them has managed to say a single thing of value since they got here. Hi, I'm Aaron. I was the first. Welcome to woke jail. He holds out a hand, and Stefan, still confused, limply takes it. Hi. And what? Aaron retrieves his hand and uses it to articulate his next sentence, which he enunciates like a primary school teacher, one word at a time. My name is Aaron, and your name is... Oh, sorry, Stefan. His stomach clenches when he says it. He doesn't like how the blonde woman using it on him, and he doesn't think he'll enjoy the sound of it in Aaron's mouth either. How long have you been here, he says, to give himself anything but his rising discomfort to think about. Aaron blows out through puffed cheeks. 2 weeks, nearly, I think? They faked the day-night cycle in here. I'm sure you've noticed, but assuming they're not playing games with that, about 2 weeks. Didn't even get to the start of the semester before, whoop, he mimes being dragged away by his neck. Woke up in one of those fun little cells. In your cell, did you get the whole... Stefan doesn't know how to ask what he wants to without sounding silly, but Aaron seems to understand anyway. The men are evil and so are you lecture? We all did, and then we all came in here stumbling around like confused idiots asking each other the same question. Did they put your dick in a vice too? Yada yada yada. Well, they all came in, stumbling around. I was already here, so I just watched. They put your dick in a vice? It's a metaphor, Stephen. They just lectured us all about toxic masculinity. Chastised us for not regularly imbibing the respect women juice and threw us in here to get on each other's nerves. So, what did you do? What did I do? Stefan asks. Leave him alone. Stefan searches for the speaker and finds him sitting by himself on the floor by the cabinets. He doesn't have to tell you. Shut up, murderer Moody. No one cares what you think. I'm sorry, Stefan says, looking back and forth. Who is he, and what do you mean, what did I do? Aaron looks at him for a second. Right, okay, you're confused. It's understandable. It's fine. Sit. He sits at one of the metal benches and slaps the table. Sit, and I'll introduce you around. First things first, we're not just in here because of our toxic masculinity. Finger quotes, rolled eyes, and shrugged shoulders leave Stephen in no doubt as to what Aaron thinks of the concept, or our poisonous Y chromosomes or our big meaty dicks. We all did something that caught the attention of this bunch of... He pauses, with his tongue inside his cheek, like he just stopped himself from saying something he shouldn't. Don't zap me, Maria. I didn't say it. Stefan glances back at the woman near the doors, but if one of them is Maria, she doesn't react. What do you mean, did something? So what did you do? Sorry, Aaron says. You need way more Paragon points with me before you unlock my tragic backstory. Besides, I've given you the lowdown. You owe me a funny story. What horrific crime against the female gender did you commit? Nothing, Stefan insists. One of those, are you? Like Raph? Fuck you, you piece of shit, Channer, says a man reading a magazine on another bench without looking up. Raph here insists on his innocence, but we all know why he's here, don't we, boys? Fuck you, Raph says again. Our man got a girl pregnant when they were both 17, then made her get an abortion when she wanted to keep it. And then off he fucks to university and cheats on her with every Stacy he can get his hands on, which was a dumb fucking move because of course she finds out. It takes her 2 years, but she does, and someone here gets word of it and snatches him up. Now here he is. Stefan doesn't know how to feel about that. On one hand, yes, he sounds like an arsehole, but he had the impression from Christine that every man here would be, if not violent, but then perhaps on the verge of violence. Cheating is awful, but he's not sure he can understand the moral calculus that imprisons a man because of it. And on the other hand, is he back to the original hand? Stefan can read a wrecked life between the lines of Aaron's glib summary, so maybe this guy, Raph, deserves whatever this place is. Stefan's forming a new theory, and he refines it while Aaron babbles on, arguing with Raph about the exact nature of his transgressions. It's a scared straight program. Take bad men, or bad people, he amends, remembering Christine, and lock them away for a while. Teach them that toxic masculinity, or toxic whatever Christine did, has consequences. Maybe there are talks or classes, lectures on how to be a better person. Keep them in here until whoever runs the place considers them ready to go back to the world. Supervise for a while after. Maybe Christine, after all, attended a party despite being in the program in some sense she hasn't yet defined. Unfortunately, there's no space in this for his theories about trans women. Perhaps he was completely wrong about that, and Christine's answer to his blunt question about her gender was non-committal. Hell, he might have just confused her. Certainly none of the men down here seem like trans people looking for help. He puts his half-finished theory aside and refocuses on what's happening around him. Plus, Aaron's saying, we all know Raph has rage issues. I bet plenty of those girls who fucked woke up the next day with a few extra bruises. Am I right, Raphael? He holds up his hand as if awaiting a high five. I don't have rage issues, shithead. What do you call that? Aaron says, pointing. There's a dent in one of the metal cabinets. It's deep and many-faceted, like it was made by multiple strikes. Stefan looks hard at Raph, pictures him kicking it. He's a big guy. Stefan shudders. I call that fuck off or you're next, Raph says. Ooh, scary, Aaron says, making a mocking gesture. Come at me, please. I'd love to see you get tased again. Raph replies with a middle finger and returns to his magazine. Well, Aaron adds, returning back to Stefan with a wild grin. That's Raph done. Oh, who's next? Oh yes, the double act, Will and Adam. I don't know what dreadful things they did, but they're really fucking annoying. So Maria and her pals probably did the world a favor by locking them up down here. Love you, Maria, he adds, blowing a kiss in the direction of the woman by the door. One of them, an East Asian woman, waves a taser at him. She loves me, really. But yeah, unless you want to go completely insane, or you really want to know everything is to know about the demons who really did 9/11, stay away from Adam and Will. Which one is the demon guy? Adam? Does it matter? Fuck you, Aaron, Will says, and points at Adam. You're right, new boy. He's the demon guy. I'm not the demon guy. You said yesterday that demons make people gay. No, I said that demonic influence in secular culture is responsible for the glorification of homosexuality. Fucking Westboro freak. Godless sinner. Oh, they're fighting again, Aaron says. And yet they always sit together. I think it's WOV. Who's left, he asks, wanting nothing more now than to get this over with. Everyone here seems deeply unpleasant, with a potential exception of the women, with the tasers. He's not yet willing to commit to that assessment, though. Those two, Aaron says, pointing to two men who have been ignoring the whole spectacle in favor of some TV show, are Declan and Ollie. That one hit his wife, that one hit his girlfriend. No, other way around. Sorry. Fun fact, Ollie there has been zapped 16 times. Why? He thinks if he can get a weapon off one of the girls, he can escape. But it's pointless. They're locked to their fingerprints or something. Actually, there are a couple of really big guys knocking around somewhere, waiting to jump on us if we need jumping on. Declan actually grabbed one of the girls last week and got fucking dogpiled. Oh my god, was she okay? What? Yeah, I guess so. Declan got the crap beaten out of him, though. Watch for his limp. It's hilarious. Okay. Who are we missing? Oh yeah, Martin Moody. The fucking forever alone over there in the corner. If you ever need him, just listen for the soft weeping sounds. Aaron switches to a whisper. He's the only one with a body count. Like, a directly attributable to his actions body count. Oh no, he ruined my life, he adds in falsetto. And now I can't go on, shit. He's the only cold-blooded killer in here. Unless you are too, he holds his hands up in faux submission. No judgment if you are. A body count? What did he do? Aaron mimes pouring a bottle down his throat. Drink driving, killed a guy, injured his wife, got off with a fine, which the queen bitches, which our benevolent captors didn't like. So here he is. I didn't get off, the man mumbles, just loud enough to hear. My family lead on the court. I needed to pay for what I did. Congratulations, Aaron says, grinning wildly. You're paying for it now, and we're stuck paying for it with you. And that's everyone, I think, he adds, turning back to Stefan. Unless you want to tell me what you did? Nothing, Stefan repeats. Suit yourself. Oh. He points through the double doors on the other side of the room that look like they lead into the world's most depressing conference room. A woman is laying out plates. Lunchtime. Stefan is surprised by the burgers. They look really good, but not by the plastic cutlery. Aaron swings onto the chair next to him, apparently keen to keep exploring a bond that Stefan would rather not develop. Good men don't end up here, Stefan remembers, and he tries not to think about what Aaron might have done. The list is bad enough already. 2 men who hit their wives or girlfriend, a cheater who forced his girlfriend to get an abortion she didn't want, and a drunk driver. No mention of whatever the 2 guys at the end of the table, Will and Adam, did, although, given both the subject and the tone of the running argument they've been having for the last several minutes, he'd rather not speculate. He's uncomfortably reminded of the videos the YouTube algorithm keeps trying to get him to watch. Carefully, Stefan looks at each one of the men in turn. fixing in his mind what he knows about them. He doesn't want to forget who they are, even for a moment. Of all of them, the drunk driver, the one who's actually killed someone, seems the least objectionable. Not a conclusion Stefan enjoys coming to. Maybe it's just that he's quiet. Don't get too excited about the burger, mate, Aaron says. It's veggie. Everything here is. Meat's too masculine, says Ralph, the cheater. Too raw. Stefan very carefully does not make the obvious observation. Instead, he attempts to spear a chip with his plastic fork. It bends. You can thank Declan for the plastic cutlery, Aaron says. You see that bump on your stomach? Well, so did he, and he got hilariously butt-mad about it. Why? What is it? Stefan says. It's an implant. Releases a drug called Goslefin. Gosarelin, you fucking imbecile. Will says, it's a drug for men with prostate cancer. It lowers testosterone. They probably use it on us to make us less aggressive. Does it work? Fuck no, Aaron says. Shut up, Will says. Of course it does. Your body's a machine made of meat. You can't just act like medication doesn't work on you. Sure I can. Will says to Stefan, ignore him. My dad, the toughest man I know, he had it in him and it made him tired and depressed. 11 months on it until the surgery. You've been on it the longest, and he grins, points to Aaron with a plastic fork, so you should be the most emasculated one in here. Whatever, Aaron says, turning away from Will, who theatrically rolls his eyes and returns to his discussion with Adam. Anyway, Declan over there found out that his boy juice was being interfered with, and he tried to dig it out with a spoon. Did it work? Stefan asks, trying not to think about the idea that something in his belly right now might be suppressing his testosterone. The thought is almost too good to be true, and somewhat ironic. Ha! Will says, no, and I told him it wouldn't. Fuck you, William, Declan says. He's alone at the far end of the table, picking his burger apart with his fingers and eating only the bun and the cheese. And now we have plastic forks, Aaron finishes. Thanks, Declan. Stefan tries his burger. It's pretty good. So, he says, swallowing, now I know why we're all here. What is this place anyway? What's it for? Are you slow? Aaron says. Think about it for a second. It's a masturbatory fantasy by feminist fuckwits who want to believe they can take ordinary guys and make a bunch of pussies out of us. But it's all a big show. Fucking theater. They get us all down here, put the anti-cancer drugs inside of us, so we are, thank you, Will, tired and depressed and floppy-dicked. They spend a few weeks lecturing us about what big bad boys we are, then we're supposed to go free as changed men. It's not going to work, of course. Why not? Why do you mean, why not? It's bullshit, man. It's a fucking psychology experiment or something. Someone's grad paper on masculine aggression. Someone found this bomb shelter or whatever that was under a girl's dorm and had this really big idea that impressed the grant committee, and now we're stuck with it. We probably can't even sue. I bet they had all of us sign something when we were high or drunk or, I don't know, really sad like fucking Murderer Moody. Where were you when they got you? I was at a party, Stefan admits. There you go. They'll have got a girl to chat you up and make you sign something. Next thing you know, concrete walls and veggie burgers and fucking weepy here. He throws a chip at Martin Moody. He's just guessing, Martin Moody says, ignoring the chip. He doesn't know. And he just wants this place to be, I don't know, fucking purgatory. This is my chance, Aaron, Moody says, so leave me the hell alone. Cry more, murderer. Stefan takes another bite of his burger and tries to avoid listening to the conversation. One thing seems certain. If there's anyone who understands less about what's going on under Dorley Hall than Stefan, it's the men sat around the table with him. Will says it's woke jail, but hasn't elaborated on that means. Adam seems to think it's a conspiracy, or possibly demons. Aaron thinks it's an experiment, it'll all be over in a month, but the cells, the setup of the common room and the dining room, and what looked like at least one more corridor leading off, it's all too elaborate for a grad student's experiment. Besides, if it's connected to the missing boys Stefan's been investigating, this place has been going on for years. He feels eyes on him and looks up, sees the blonde woman out in the corridor, staring at him through the reinforced glass doors. He smiles and shrugs at her, and she glares back, frowning slightly, like he's a puzzle she can't solve. A lot of that going around. After lunch, and after a few more abortive attempts at conversation, Aaron seems to finally get the idea that Stefan isn't particularly interested in talking, and joins Will and Adam on the sofas near the television, back in the common room. Most of the other men drift over to join them in the next few minutes, leaving Stefan and Martin Moody alone together at the dining table. My name's not Moody, Martin says. What? Stefan snaps, irritated to be distracted from his thoughts. My name's not Moody, it's Holloway. That little shit, Aaron, coined it my first day out of the cell. Moody Martin the murderer, and that's who I am now. Was he right? Stefan asks, trying to keep the contempt out of his voice. Did you kill someone? He nods. I didn't mean to, but you don't mean to do a lot of things when you're drunk, and I was always drinking. He talks without emotion, but there's something in his voice, a hard edge that comes up occasionally, that reminds Stefan of how Mark and Russ sounded, reading from the letters their mother left them after their death. I thought I could drive home, just 2 miles, but I lost control. Left the road right as they were leaving the restaurant and their anniversary dinner. He didn't make it to the hospital, but she survived. Broken leg. Pushed her out of the way. Saved her from me. Jesus. My family has money. Hired the best lawyer they could. Said I was a young man who'd lost his way. Said it wouldn't be fair to snuff out my potential over a mistake. Even found a criminal record for the man I killed, made him look less like an innocent victim. And I got off light. I was supposed to go to rehab, but I couldn't hack it. Now you're here. Yes, and those guys, they're all wrong. This is no experiment. It's not woke jail, whatever stupid thing Will Schroeder's going on about. Something happens here. They keep us locked up, they suppress our testosterone, they take our blood samples. Something happens here. What do you think it is? Martin meets Stefan's eyes. An unpleasant experience. I don't care, he says. Whatever it is, I deserve it. Stefan doesn't find it in himself to be able to contradict the miserable man. He just stares back at him, feeling almost more uncomfortable in his presence than he had when the blonde woman was needling at every aspect of his supposed masculinity. Eventually, Martin takes the hint, swings around in his chair and returns to the common room, leaving Stefan to push his empty plate aside and lean his forehead carefully on the table. Jesus, these people... He's tempted to ask Christine if and when she gets him out tonight to lock all the doors behind them and bury the key. He gets almost a minute alone before the door through the common area buzzes, locking him inside the dining room. The blonde woman enters from the corridor, pocketing a remote. Stefan can't help himself from saying, "Oh, thank God." "What?" the blonde woman says, before she sits down and giving him a quizzical look. "Fuck it. Tell the truth." I was expecting another one of them. Another horror story with a face, but it's just you, the woman who yells at me. At the door, another woman takes up a relaxed but steady position. Taser in hand, the blonde woman nods at her, sits, steeples her fingers. "Do you not like your new friends?" she says. "They're all awful. You should fit right in then." Stefan swallows his reply with a cough, remembering the role he's supposed to be playing, although he's not sure anymore why he's playing it. Surely he just has to tell this woman he's not anything like those men. He realizes she won't believe him. Like Aaron, he saw someone like him, and so does she. Deep inside, a small voice asks, "Are you sure you're not like those men?" But it's a voice that Stefan's got used to ignoring. His base assumption that nothing he believes about himself, good or bad, can possibly be legitimate. Old lies from an old liar. "Can I ask your name?" he says. "Why?" He shrugs, affects indifference. "You know mine, and I know theirs." He nods towards the common area. A few of them, Aaron included, are watching his conversation, but presumably can't hear anything. "I'd like to know yours." She glares at him. Eventually, Pippa. "Hi, Pippa," he says, smiling. His smile sets off something inside her. "Don't think for a second that this is working on me," she snaps. "What do you mean?" "You know exactly what I mean. This whole act. This." She gestures in Stefan's direction, her mouth curled into a sneer that suggests he doesn't exactly like what she finds there. "Well, ditto, lady. I don't understand. The nice guy act, the smiles, the friendly chatter, the polite questions, the flipping yoga. You're nothing but an act, Stefan Riley, and when the girls fall for it, that's when you get them. I get them." She hits the table. "Stop acting clueless. It won't work on me, but it will piss me off. You're as bad as the rest of them, maybe worse. Worse than the drunk driver, or the ones that hit their wives, or that little scrotum, Aaron." Pippa rubs her hand. "Potentially. That's the thing with guys like you. You're all cute and cuddly, right up till the moment you're not anymore. And then, you're capable of anything. I've seen it before." "You can't win with her," Stefan thinks to himself. "Stop playing." "What's my future here, then?" he says. That's up to you. I heard one of the others telling you about your implant. He's right. It's there to make you calm. If you choose to remain in the program, if you agree to commit to your rehabilitation, it will be re-administered whenever it runs out and you can expect other treatments in due course. Do I get to know what those are? No. Right. This program has one goal and only one goal. To improve you and to protect people from you. You're a threat, Stefan Riley, to women mainly, but not only. You leave when we decide the threat you represent is neutralized. What you get to decide is how you leave, either by completing this program and becoming a new person, or by refusing to participate and otherwise washing out. And those who wash out are never heard from again, Stefan says. I remember. What do? Send them to a private prison or something? Put them in the veggie burgers? Pippa stands, suddenly all business. Above my pay grade, she says. Now, come with me. You'll be shown to the rest of the facilities and then return to your cell. Well, you will remain until the morning. You have a lot to think about, Stefan Riley. At some point on the way down the stairs, Abby's hand found Christine's, looking for reassurance. Because Melissa is precious to Abby, Christine didn't know how precious until about half an hour ago, and Stefan is precious to Melissa. And so Abby's belief that Stefan's transgressions should remain private faded away in the face of her absolute terror over what Melissa will think when she tells her, because she has to tell her. The best Christine could do was walk her into a delay, at least until they touched base with Stefan's sponsor. One of the hardest things to get used to for many girls in the program is the requirement that they never see their family again. It's not something that's ever bothered Christine, residual guilt about leaving her mother with her father notwithstanding, besides she chose him over her son/daughter/whoever, and the memory of that night plays out in Christine's nightmares with some regularity. But it's been particularly difficult for Abby, who'd been very close with her family. Like a lot of the girls, she's derived hope from Indira's reconnection with her parents and from Indira's mother welcoming her new daughter back into the family as if she'd never been taken from it. Family photos fill Abby's room. Letters she's never sent spill out of her dresser drawer, and she's petitioning Aunt B to let her follow Indira's footsteps, a request Christine privately believes will never be granted. Aunt B will eventually tell her, in the way that she tells all of them, to move on, and Abby will be sanctioned if she ever goes against this instruction. And so, the hole in Abby's kind soul that is her past, her family, continues to grow, continues to hurt her. And now, down in the basement, there's a connection to the past, not to Abby's, but to Melissa's, almost as important, but it's a broken connection, fucked up and soured by the unavoidable conclusion that Stefan, if he's here, grew up to be a bad man. Not true, of course, but it would all be the cherry on a shit sundae to drag Melissa back into it, all on the eve Christine gets Stefan out, if she even still can. One mistake begets 1,000. She's considered owning up, telling Aunt B everything, but she's not sure what will happen to her or Stefan if she does. She never did find out where the washouts go, but she's had nightmares about that too. Abby releases Christine's hand and they buzz into the ground floor kitchen. Time to look casual. Hi everyone, Abby gushes, waving at women gathered around the kitchen table. They all look variously exhausted, annoyed, and amused. They'll have just got done supervising lunchtime downstairs and making sure their charges don't cause trouble. Unlikely, given that the precipitating incident prompting them to switch out the metal cutlery happened early this year. One of the boys apparently attacked himself, points for originality, but not impossible. Christine immediately finds Pippa. She sat at the end of the table with a laptop open and a hot chocolate in front of her. Marshmallows and chocolate sprinkles. Shit. The full calorie bomb. Must be a difficult day. Christine accepts a hug from Maria and a shoulder tap from Harmony. Two of the older women who both have responsibility for the reprobates in the basement. Maria in particular she hasn't seen for a while, except on cameras. She looks tired. Her guy must be a pain in the neck. Abby bustles her way to the table, pulling up a chair, entirely coincidentally, next to Pippa. Immediately she cranes her neck to look at the laptop screen. Oh, she says, is that the new boy? It's probably a good thing working for the local paper doesn't require acting skills. Christine adopts an expression of indifferent curiosity and walks around behind Pippa so she can see the screen too. Stefan is back in his cell, doing stretches. Fitness buff, she asks, as innocently as she knows how. He was doing yoga when I came to see him one time, Pippa says, half to herself. She mutters, can't work him out. Abby turns the laptop screen so it is face onto her and watches Stefan carefully. It'll be an interesting moment for her. For all that she's apparently listened to Melissa talk about him for cumulative days and seen multiple pictures of his younger self, she's never before had the chance to see him as an adult. Christine glances at the screen. He's touching his toes. What's he like? Abby asks. He's different than I expected. Pippa takes a long sip of her hot chocolate, slurps up a marshmallow. If he wasn't, here, I'd say he was just a normal guy. A bit weird, pretty cute, kind of sad. God, it's so effed up. I want to like him. That's a bad thing? Christine asks, playing dumb. Christine shouldn't be interacting with sponsors like this, according to the large leather-bound book of precepts that sits on a shelf in the office, accumulating dust. Because, despite being on a long leash these days with most of her freedoms returned, she's still in the program. Getting to see how the sausage is made, or unmade, is perhaps counterproductive when you are, in a sense, the sausage. She frowns. Bad metaphor. It hasn't worked that way for a while, anyway. Dorley isn't all that big, and the job of acclimating sisters to their new lives has become, by necessity, much more communal than it was under the reign of Aunt Bee's mysterious predecessor, grandmother, who moved on from the program before Abby's time. Rumour has it she's working for the government in some capacity these days. Rather more reliable rumour has it that Aunt Bee herself was grandmother's first subject, and Christine is more inclined to believe that one. It'd explain the way that Aunt Bee occasionally allows herself to be compromised by compassion for her charges, a defect that grandmother reportedly did not suffer from. Turtles all the way down. So Christine and the other third-year girls come and go as they please, hang out with the sponsors, and have access to basically all the inner workings of the program. Improves buy-in, according to Aunt Bee. Better to be roaming the university and making friends rather than spending a year shut mostly inside the dorm, amassing resentments. Still amazing that this place works at all. Christine half expects one day to open a random cupboard and find a bid box labeled Assorted Mind Control Devices, point away from face. Yes, it's a bad thing, Pippa shouts. I need to hate him. She bangs on the table and winces just like she heard an old bruise. Maria frowns at her. Sorry. Damn, Christine, can you get me some paper towels? Christine hops up as Pippa quickly holds the laptop up, away from the slowly spreading puddle of spilled hot chocolate. They mop up the mess together. Abby starts massaging Pippa's shoulders. It's so weird, Pippa says, when things are back to normal. I gave him the first contact spiel, and it was as if it genuinely upset him. And I don't mean the way it does with most of the guys. He didn't get angry or try to attack me through the glass or call me a feminazi or a bitch or a you-know-what. It was like, have you ever made a joke that's in questionable taste, like a dead baby joke or something, and then it turns out someone in the room has had a miscarriage and they're trying to hide it, but you can tell they're genuinely really upset and you feel like the worst person in the world? It was like that. I didn't even get through the whole thing because I started to worrying I was going to cause a suicide attempt before I'd even gotten him out of his cell. And then, just now, when I took him to lunch and the other guys, it's like he'd just forgotten it all. What do you mean? Maria says. She and the other women are watching Pippa intently now, and Christine remembers that Stefan is Pippa's first subject. Is she being evaluated too? It was like he hit the reset button overnight. Back to the personable, pleasant guy. Actually, no, he was until he met the other guys, and then he almost shut down. They really got to him. So at least you have a lever, Maria says. Actually, it says like you have a bunch. Levers are one of the things sponsors look for. Sore spots, sensitive issues, anything that can be used to promote a change in behavior. I'm not sure I want one. God help me, I almost want to unlock all the doors and let him go. Well, look, Maria says, it sounds like you need to adjust how you see him before your next session. Harmony says she watched how you were with him during the tour and she thought you did okay. What were you thinking about then? I was kind of thrown off my rhythm, so I kind of tried to act like how Ellie did with me for those first few months. Good, keep it up. And remember, we've had these oh-so-charming types in before. They're always looking to get your guard down. Try thinking about what he did. It can help. What did he do? Abby asks, clearly unable to contain the question anymore. Christine doesn't close her eyes and bang her head against the wall, but she wants to. She knows where this is going. Letting Stefan out tonight is going to look like a fucking nuclear-level disaster. It was never going to actually look good. What was your plan exactly? But this is just awful. The entire current sponsor team knows him, and not just to look at, they're actively discussing his fucking psychology. Try thinking before acting next time, Christine. He was with this girl, right near the dorm, Pip is saying, and she starts screaming, like full-on get-off-me stuff. Looked out of the window just in time to see her take off, and he looks like he's about to pass out in the flower bed. So I went down, grabbed Raj from the break room so he could watch out for me, and the guy, Stefan, is fully asleep by that point. Find his wallet, and by this point, I don't know what to do with him yet. Like, he's asleep, and I've got Raj with me, so he's not a threat, but the girl was so not happy with him, so I kind of didn't want to send him on his way without checking him out. So Raj watches him, and I look him up, and his files, well, look. She spins the laptop around so Maria can see it. It's sealed, and they only do that when there's been litigation to cover up something nasty. Or when someone hops onto the system 5 minutes earlier, does a bit of creating writing, and then changes every single field in a spreadsheet from a no to a yes. Saints has reasonable network security, but the weak link is always the office staff. Every year, there will be some poor fucker in IT pulling their hair out when they realize the class lists are in Excel again. Maria reaches over, pulls the laptop towards her, scrolls around. There are all these comments. Kind of suggestive, no? Exactly, Pippa says, sounding relieved. Did we ever ID the screaming girl? No. Camera dead zone. We have a couple of shots of her running away, but she has her back to us in all of them. So, Maria says, summing up, we have a screaming girl running away from a drunk guy, we have locked records indicating some major incident that's been made to go away, and a ton of comments on his file that stop short of actionable, but which paint a picture which says, if you read between the lines, don't leave him alone with women. It sounds pretty conclusive. Pip, you got a real dangerous asshole in there, and you know Aunt B has looked at this same information and approved his stay. I mean, sure, it wouldn't stand up in a court, but we're not a court, Pippa finishes. I know. God, I feel stupid. I fell for his act, didn't I? Flipping, fuck. It's okay. It happens. The important thing is you talk to us about it. And you always can, you know? Maria smiles warmly. I know, Pippa says, nodding. Thanks, Maria. You're gonna be okay? Abby asks her. Yeah, I've got this. Then Abby points to herself and Christine, have some late lunch to steal. Anything good? There's a cauliflower casserole in here somewhere. Harmony says, waving at the fridge. Yum, Abby says, smiling at Christine and making prompting motions with her eyebrows. Thanks, Harmony, Christine says, clenching her stomach. All those suggestive comments she left in the open section of Stefan's file seemed like such a good idea at the time, and now she feels like she's run up to his executioner and handed them an even bigger axe. 3 minutes of microwaving later, and they're bounding up to the stairs to Abby's room on the 3rd floor. Christine always feels a little strange coming up here, given that most of the girls up on 3rd were never actually in the program. She can be awkward around cis girls, always waiting for them to see right through her, but today she's got more on her mind. She smiles absently at a pair of women watching TV in the common area and lets herself be bundled into Abby's room, noting once again how strange it is that none of the dorms on this floor have centrally controlled biometric locks. Fuck, Chrissy, Abby says, dumping her plate on her desk and ignoring it. Fuck, I don't know what it's going to break Liz's heart more. Stefan is here, or that Stefan deserves to be here. Maybe he doesn't, Christine says too quickly. You heard, Maria. Christine takes a deep breath and lets it out slowly, giving herself the appearance of composing herself so she can think through what she wants to say. How she can divert Abby from making a decision which will make things even worse. You know what Maria's like. She always sees the worst in people. But the evidence is flaky as hell, Abs. His file is closed and suggestive comments are just suggestive. Even the girl yelling and running away, yeah, sounds bad, but it's all circumstantial. Maria said it wouldn't stand up in court. I just can't stand the thought of the innocent boy I heard so much about going through what happened to us. Abby wrings her hands together. She doesn't talk about her time in the program much. Christine's got the impression that her sponsor went particularly hard on her, and she's never said what she did beyond obliquely referencing her short guy syndrome. Trying to imagine Abby as a boy, let alone a bad one, is so absurd it makes Christine's head hurt. But I also can't stand the thought that the kid is gone, replaced by a dangerous creep. And what if it's because of us? Chrissy, we took Liz away from him. She was like a big sister to him, a big brother, whatever. And we just lifted her out of his life. Made him think she was dead. God, Chrissy, we did this to him. I have to tell her. Tell you what, Christine says quickly, before Abby can dive for her phone again. Why didn't I look into it? I said I could try find out what he did, and I meant it. Bet I could get his file open. I mean, even back then, they never went too far into the university system. Lies upon lies to tarnish my soul, she thinks. But Saints is hardly GCHQ. And then you can know for certain. And if it's nothing, if he was brought in for no reason, if this is all just a big misunderstanding, well then, we go to Aunt B. Abby's eyes, which are reddening, light up. You can do that? There, that's the exit strategy. A trusted program graduate asks her to put on the old black hat one last time out of concern for another program graduate. And Christine reluctantly agrees. She finds a totally innocuous incident on Stefan's file and an innocent explanation for all the sinister notes. They go together to Aunt B and exonerate him. Maybe he can sign an NDA or something. Surely nothing too dreadful can happen to him now that he's had so many eyes on him. Yeah, Christine says. I can do it. Give me a day and I can do it. 2019, October 15th, Tuesday. It's 2 a.m. on Tuesday and her phone alarm is playing. It had been wishful thinking to set it. She's been running on adrenaline and caffeine since yesterday afternoon, but at least it startles her out of her reverie. And it gets I knew a trouble stuck in her head. All this stuff with Stefan has had Christine spending time in her memories. Skipping the bad stuff, mostly. Dwelling on the first time Indira ever seemed pleased with her. God, but that woman can make you feel like a new person with nothing but her smile. Makes you want to change your whole self, inside and out, to feel that kind of approval again. She taps on her phone and it goes silent. She checks the laptop on which she has been tracking the movements of all the sisters. Both the sponsors and the volunteers who occasionally help out in the security room are all in bed. The night shift guys are dozing lightly in break room in basement 1, and Christine breathes silent thanks to B's streak of protective paranoia. The men she grudgingly hires from some PMC don't have access to the security room or the cameras, and while they're on Dorley's network, their cells can only receive calls, not make them. She throws on a t-shirt. It can get cold down there. Let's go see Stefan. Early in her second year here, Christine discovered that the electronic locks on all the doors can be cycled slowly, making them virtually silent. She even tested a script that would hook into the system and quietly lock every door except the ones closest to her phone, allowing her, and only her, to walk around Dorley Hall and its basements unimpeded. It worked perfectly, but she's never used it. One person trying a lock and finding it broken can be explained away as a glitch, but if a dozen people do it, it's fairly obvious that someone's just rat-fucked their network. The script is the sort of thing that it's only truly safe to use if you don't plan on ever coming back. And where would Christine go? She settles for locking Pippa's door only, looping as few cameras as she thinks she can get away with, and activating the alert script on her laptop. It'll ping her phone if any of the biometrics activate. She should have a few hours, more than enough time. She goes back down the back way anyway. Safer to use the triple locked fire escape on the other side of the basement that goes down through the kitchen. She doesn't enjoy going this way. She has to pass some good old basement bedroom 3, her home away from home for one difficult year, and now housing some guy called William, but she's more than earned a little discomfort. He's waiting for her in his cell, remarkably composed, which is a trifle irritating. At least he's not doing handstands. Hi, he whispers. You can talk normally, she says. He's standing, but she sits, all too aware that her lack of sleep is going to catch up with her at some point, and she'd like to be close to the floor when that happens sooner rather than later. Okay, are you going to tell me what's going on? God, don't even know where to start. Stefan mirrors her, sits cross-legged on the floor. If it weren't for the glass door, they'd be close enough to touch each other. Yesterday, I asked if you're a trans woman. You said sort of, and then immediately had to leave. Maybe start with that? This is it, the point of no return. She's been dreading this part. What I am, she says, and who I am, it's all bound up with this place and what happens here. When I came here, I was very different. angry, afraid, and she recalls a phrase of Indira's from her very first evaluation. Capable of acts of great cruelty whenever I felt trapped and lonely. I was never physically violent, but I hurt people all the same. This is not who you are anymore. This is not who you are anymore. This is not who you are anymore, Christine. And it's because of that, because of the things I did, that I was brought here. For rehabilitation. That's what the program does. It takes dangerous men like, well, the ones you met today, and turns them into... She can't say it. It's just too fucking much, and she can't say it. She holds her hands out in front of her in the classic magician Siddhar pose. She stares into his eyes as much as she does so. Can't look away. Don't judge me. Please don't judge me, even though God knows I deserve to be judged. You mean you? Yeah, she says. You really? Yeah, she says. But you're so... Yeah, you're a man? Now she breaks eye contact. No. But you said you're not trans, or sort of, or something. My gender isn't the issue here, she says, holding herself still, willing herself not to react, even as her belly fills with bile, even as old wounds open all over her, even as memories she despises overwhelm her. She can't stop it from coming out. But if you call me a man again, I will walk away from this cell and fucking leave you to rot. She clamps her hand over her mouth. Stupid. You're supposed to be helping him. Sorry, she says through her fingers. Sorry, shit, sorry. His eyes are on her, reducing her to the boy she once was, cruel and lonely and sad and scared, lashing out in public and retreating to his room and making himself bleed. She's changed. She wants to believe it. He will always be where she came from, the monster she's forever trying to escape. It's okay, Stefan says. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Oh God, you're crying. I'm sorry, Christine. Christine, that was... I shouldn't have said that. She screws shut her eyes, wipes them with her sleeve. Don't be sorry, she hisses. I put you here. And I was just like those fuckers out there. She presses her hands, balled up in her skirt, to her temples. Hate me. No. Stefan, She hiccups the way she does when she's about to collapse into floods of tears, and the discomfort breaks through her misery, enough that she can hold her breath, count to 10, and regain control. The shame. God, the shame. Still overwhelming, years later. Christine didn't expect coming out to Stefan to be so painful. With Indira's family, it had been different, so she hadn't thought about it much. Truthfully, she'd avoided thinking about it, until it was time to actually say the words. Foolish. Indira's family would believe her to be a trans woman, just like their beloved, recovered daughter. A convenient lie, and one she can live with, take pride in. But as much as she wishes Indira's family were right about her, they aren't. She has nothing to be proud of. She didn't choose this. She didn't fight for her own self-determination. She was captured and transformed against her will. A woman made out of a man, so repugnant that someone took a long, hard look at him and decided it would be better off if he simply ceased to exist. And now Stefan knows. Christine, he says, quietly, full of concern, and God, she doesn't deserve that name. Doesn't deserve to hear it spoken so softly. There are many things she does deserve, but kindness, absolutely not. Please, he says, and she looks back at him. There on the other side of the door, stuck in a prison she put him in, and he's holding his hand up to his glass, pressing it there like he wants her to reach forward and... Christine, he whispers. She holds up her hand, places it against the glass, closes her eyes. It's almost like they can feel each other. Shit, she whispers, relaxing her shoulders, moisture on her cheeks. I'm sorry, I wasn't prepared for how hard that would hit me. Jesus, I thought I was all over that. You want to talk about it? No, Christine says and sighs. But it's part and parcel of Dorley, so I guess I kind of have to. She drops her hand, curls it in her lap, and cradles it. As the tendons twitch with the exhausted curiosity that finds her sometimes when she's emotionally spent. Be kind to yourself, Christine. The Sisters of Dorley, that's us. Remade. All of us. Reshaped. Made better. Made into women, Stefan says. Not a question. Yes. All the guys out there, it's going to happen to them too, like it did for you. That's the idea. Does it work? Worked on me. For everyone? No. The washouts, yes. How many are going to wash out? It varies. This looks like a particularly shitty batch for what it's worth. What happens to them? I don't know. Do they die or just get moved? I don't know. And you brought me into this. Yes. I panicked. Sorry. I don't blame you. Not really. I spent years investigating this place. I wanted to find out everything about it, even if I was, in the end, completely wrong about it. I'm going to get you out tonight. Stefan doesn't say anything for long enough that Christine finally looks up from her lap again. He's looking over her, examining her for what? He doesn't look critical, just curious. I have a few questions, he says when he realizes he's got her attention. Okay. Melissa Haverford? She's Mark Virgil. I never knew her by that name, but yes. Is she okay? She's okay. Does she ever mention me? All the time, I'm told. You don't know her personally? Not really. We've talked a little. Can I see her? She doesn't live here anymore. No, I mean, do you have a picture of her? Like a file photo or something? I only have what's in here. He taps the sides of his head. And it's been a long time. Oh, yeah, Christine says. Give me a second. Abby sent me some pictures last time she went to see her. Better than a file photo, probably. Here. She holds her phone up to the glass. On screen, Abby and Melissa are posing, 4 times over, in a strip of photo booth shots, laughing, sticking their tongues out. Abby planting a big kiss on Melissa's cheek, bunny ears. Stefan touches his finger to the glass. It's really her, he says. He loses his voice in that last syllable, and everything comes out in a whisper. She's really alive. Christine loses control again, sobbing quietly, holding up the phone as he stares at his old friend, his almost brother, his lost sister. She never had that kind of connection with anyone, not until she came to Dorley, and the thought of having it and then having it be ripped away is beyond heartbreaking. She looked up their respective ages, back in her room. Stefan thought Melissa was dead, or gone at the very least, for 7 years. The silence holds still for a while, but it can't last forever. We need to get you out of here, Christine says, sniffling, and puts her phone away. And about Melissa, I can send you some more pictures once you're safe, but it'll be a while before we can think about putting the two of you in contact. She stands, brushes out the folds in her shirt, wipes her cheeks again. Aunt Bee's going to be antsy about you knowing as much as you do about this place, so you probably won't be able to meet in person for, I want to stay. He's still sitting on the floor, looking up with her with a desperate need that she's never seen on anyone's face before. She has to replay what he said a few times in her head before she gets it, and it still doesn't make sense. You want to what?